So we have a really great team to teach this class for you today. I'm really excited for you to meet them all. So it's a three-part series. It was developed and is being taught by members of the LGBTQ+ community for members of the LGBTQ+ community and people who love them. The goal of this series of classes is for you to proactively think about self-defense and self-protection, to feel empowered, and also to learn some actual techniques that you can use if you're ever in a dangerous situation. So the way it's going to work is I'm going to talk to you for a little while, and then we're going to have some people come out and show you different moves, and then there's going to be more talking. So we kind of go back and forth between physical activity as well as just conversation about this topic. This class should feel fun and safe, and we may talk about things that can be uncomfortable, triggering. There may be some physical activities that might be a little bit scary. So if you're ever in a situation, something's coming up for you and you're not feeling good, take a break, get a glass of water, fresh air, whatever you need to do. These classes are being recorded. They're going to be on our YouTube channel. You can always check that later when you're in a better place. Incidentally, we have a YouTube channel. We're on all social media, PAX 2025 on Instagram, and we are paxselfdefense.com is our website. So you can look us up and get all the information on this and also other classes. Okie dokie. So class should feel safe and fun. The other component of that is hopefully for some of these exercises, the physical exercises we're going to be doing, you will have a partner that you can be working with and practicing these techniques, right? Because like anything, the more you practice, the better you're going to be. And for your partner, you want somebody you feel very safe with, very comfortable with. And as you're doing the techniques together, if there comes a time when one of you is feeling a little bit unsafe or unsure, take a break, make sure you're communicating with each other, make sure you're taking care of each other. It's a gift for someone to let you practice on their body. So take good care of each other. There are times when we need to defend ourselves, and that's obviously an unfortunate reality of our world, but hopefully it goes without saying that it's never your fault. You are never responsible when somebody hurts you. They're always responsible, and you deserve to feel safe, and not only that, you deserve to live your full, true, authentic self and present however you want to in the world. I also want to acknowledge that in our current climate, there's been a lot more, people have feel emboldened to maybe persecute those in the LGBTQ+ community. And sadly, rates of self-harm and suicide are higher in the LGBTQ+ community. So I just want to say that you are valued, you are wanted, you are loved. If you have ever thought about hurting yourself or you're thinking about suicide, I really strongly encourage you to reach out to a trusted family member, a trusted friend, somebody you feel safe with. And if you don't have someone like that, or you don't want to reach out to one of those people, reach out to the Trevor Project. They have crisis counselors that are available by text or by phone. You can reach them 24 hours a day. It's a great organization that really supports the LGBTQ+ community. So you are wanted, you are valued. Okay, the other thing I want to mention, as we're going through these exercises, we're going to talk a lot more about who might want to harm you, right? And what indicators are in the next class. But in the meantime, just be thinking about, this could be someone you know, it could be someone that you don't know. We don't always know why someone might be attacking us. It could be because of, we're a member of the LGBTQ community, it could be because we're a woman, or maybe you're a person of color, right? So all these things can kind of stack up. There's an intersection, right? Intersectionality and at the end of the day, the techniques we're going to show you are going to work on any circumstance, and it doesn't really matter why you're being attacked. Our goal for you is to be safe, right? So that's a really obvious thing to say. It's a self-defense class. The goal is to be safe. But sometimes we kind of get it in our heads where things are a movie and we really want to retaliate against this person that's causing us harm. They have it coming to them and we really want to give it to them. But any further interaction with somebody has a greater chance of leading to more harm, right? And our goal is for you to get out with the least amount of physical, mental, emotional harm and get yourself to safety. So that's going to inform all of our teaching here in this series of classes. And it's not always fair. And that sucks. So the good news is our bodies already know a lot of ways to keep us safe, And they instinctually go into certain stress responses whenever we feel stressed out, right? So there's 5 stress responses. And the thing to know about these is your body will go into them, yes, in a life or death situation for sure, but also in situations where maybe you're in a traffic jam, right? Or maybe you're going into a stressful meeting with your boss, or maybe it's just a notification on your phone, right? Different things are gonna cause this stress, one of these stress responses in your body. Different people are gonna respond different ways. So the 5 Fs are fight, flight, freeze, flop, and fawn, okay? And they have a few similarities, right? So for all of them, you're gonna have maybe an increased heart rate, your vision begins to narrow, but they have some distinctions too. So fight, obviously, physical fighting, but it can also be verbal fighting, right? Arguing, getting angry, those kinds of things are the fight response. Flight is you're trying to run away, you're trying to get to another location. It could be even turning away if you can't leave. And it can also be avoiding confrontation, avoiding stressful situations. That's going to be flight. Freeze is kind of that deer in the headlights. Your muscles can tense up. You may have a hard time thinking or speaking. You're kind of frozen, right? Flop is more of a possum playing dead. So you might have kind of a collapse, muscle weakness. An extreme example of this would be fainting. And the last one, fawn, is more of you're appeasing whoever the threatening person is, right? Or the threatening situation. So you might be very complimentary, or you might be submissive. You're not setting good boundaries. Stockholm syndrome might be an extreme example of this, right? So fight, flight, freeze, flop, and fawn. So as I was describing these, you maybe kind of thought to yourself, yeah, I do that, or that sounds familiar. That's definitely a response I tend to, right? Because we each have 1 or 2 of these. While we employ them all, we might have 1 or 2 that we default to, right? That our body automatically goes to. So you may be somebody who always freezes, or you may be somebody who always wants to fight, right? We have a lot of those people around here in martial arts. So that's great. You've started to think about, and if you didn't have a chance to figure out what you tend to do, that's okay too. Just notice over the coming weeks, every time you're kind of in maybe a stressful situation, oh, right, I'm tending towards this one, I'm tending towards that one. So these are great tools that your body already does automatically. Now, what we want to do is be able to kind of make a choice, which one maybe is the most appropriate one for a certain circumstance, right? So kind of a silly example would be if I've got to cut the red wire or the blue wire, the bomb goes off, but I freeze, that's maybe not an optimal response, right? That's maybe not realistic. Maybe if I'm driving and somebody cuts me off and I get all road ragey and I want to follow this person and ram into, well, okay, that's not a good response either, right? So being able to make a choice as to what is going to be the most appropriate and effective and keep you safe response. So one way we can do that, because like I said, practicing makes better, permanent, perfect, whatever. One way we can do that is sort of think about a past experience that you had, not anything traumatic, not anything super scary, but some stressful situation that you had, and how did you respond to this, right? So maybe you flopped and a fight response would have been more appropriate, or maybe you froze and maybe flight would have been better. So I want you to think about it. What was your response? And then kind of go through the little menu. Okay, what would it have looked like if I'd done this? What would it have looked like if I'd done that? And kind of figure out what might have been a more effective one in that situation. And I want you to do this for several different situations that you can imagine, right? Situations that you've been through, or just ones you can make up in your head, right? What would be a good response? And the point of this is not to feel any shame or guilt. I did the wrong thing. That's not at all the point of this, right? Because your body responded and it kept you safe, and here you are, right? So good job, body. Way to go, body. But it's to have more choice in how we respond, right? Because even if our instinct is to do one thing, we can always shift, right? So, so once you feel comfortable going through some mental examples, right, and kind of rewriting the script, then you can practice it in real life. And so I want to invite my friend Rich up, and he is going to share a story, a real life situation that happened to him where he switched from one F to the other.
So my story is a story of a parent of a transgender child. And in my situation, I frankly didn't react the best way. I also figured out that pretty quickly, my F response is fight. And so the situation was we were heading up to Canada. We stopped off at Linden, at Starbucks in Linden for a coffee. And this isn't a statement about Starbucks, by the way, because at least 8 or 10 years ago when this situation happened, we actually traveled across the whole country and we knew Starbucks was a safe place where we could stop and get a drink, and actually proved to be so. But anyway, so we're in Linden. We're in Starbucks. We've had our coffee. We're walking out. And then I can still see it today. As we're walking out, this old guy sitting at a table by the door makes a derogatory comment about my child. And you know, in some situations, it takes you a couple of seconds to actually register what happened. And that was the 10 seconds it took me to walk to the car. And then I spiked and I was angry. And obviously, as a parent, you know, you want to protect your child. As a parent of a transgender child, you're always super aware of nonverbal cues and so on. And, you know, and anyway, I didn't react particularly well. I spiked, I turned around, and I was going to go confront this guy. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with people. Like, I was going to go confront this guy. And actually, my child grabbed my arm and she said, what are you doing, Dad? And I'm like, I'm going to go. Actually, my F response, probably can't say on camera, but it was definitely fight. And I was going to go confront this person, and she was the one that had the relaxation response, or at least the mindfulness to go, it's okay, Dad, it's not worth it. You know, just he's not worth it, and so on. And obviously, she talked me off the edge, because obviously, in retrospect, that wouldn't have been a good reaction. I mean, the context was, at that point in time, I had 20 years of karate experience. I was going to go in, I was going to confront this guy. I was obviously angry, so it probably wouldn't have ended particularly well. Probably may have ended in physical confrontation. It definitely wouldn't have been good for that guy. Probably wouldn't have ended well for me. And so, you know, my kind of reflection on it is probably three things. Like, can you, you know, the team will talk about this. Can you take the breath and get the gap between the stimulus and response, and you know, make sure that you're making the right reaction in a situation? That's probably number one. Number two is the principle of self-protection, which is get to safety first. Can you always get your loved ones to safety first? And that should be the priority. And then the third thing is, can you leave the situation better than you found it? And I definitely wasn't going to go do that. So that's probably the third principle. So.
Thank you very much, Rich. We are gonna, so homework, before I turn it over to Jeremiah, homework is notice how you respond, right? Practice in your head, responding in different ways, and then practice in real life in non-threatening sort of situations, different responses, okay? And Jeremiah is gonna lead us through some great breathing exercises.
So when we are facing these stressful situations and we're thinking about what these 5 Fs might be and which one is our go-to, we don't want to increase the energy in a more stressful fashion. We don't want to add any fuel to the fire. So what we need to work on is to come to a place of calmness and clarity so that we can be making the right decisions for ourselves and those around us. So we'd like to start with some breathing exercise so that we can get to this place where we're de-stressed, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system at the same time are reduced, and we will do a breathing exercise. I think we should do this all together if we can all join together here. And we're going to do a breathing exercise, and I want you all to keep in mind that you're going to have maybe a key phrase or word or trigger to help you get into that state that you associate with the breath, so that it brings you to that point that you've practiced. And this is a daily practice of engaging the breath to reach that point of clarity and calm. So I think those of us that regularly engage in this practice may have some key phrases or triggers. Would anyone like to share one?
Sure.
Yes.
One of the ones that I know that I do when I'm particularly stressed when it comes to like when we've done competitions or things like that is I'll take a really deep breath, but that sometimes takes a while. So another one that I've built up over a long time is I'll do this like heel click. I'll lift my heels up and just let them drop to the ground. And when I do that, I've done that a lot, so my body's like, this is the time to focus. And so that's one thing I personally do.
Great. I have one too. I try to, as I practice, I try to create elongated spine, head supported as if from a string up above, right? And that creates the structure that can lead, that will clear the way, I think, for that peak performance that we're looking for. And so any of these things, but we can also say a word, right? It could be calm. One thing we want to avoid is to take deep breaths without having practiced before. I don't think that tends to work. So if you've ever been really, really angry and someone told you to take a deep breath and you go, I'm still angry. We don't want that, right? So we're going to practice this. We'll do about 5 of these together. We call this one gather and focus. So this is a breathing exercise. So let's do feet about shoulder width apart, okay? A nice elongated spine, heads as if supported from above by a string. Hands calmly at your side. You can do a little tiny knee bend if you want to, nothing too extreme. Don't lock the knees, okay? And then we're going to gather on the in-breath. And as we reach the top, we're going to out-breath and go down. Just like that, a few more. And one thing to be mindful of, let's do the in-breath at the center. We call this in Korean, it's called the tanjan, or the tianchen, I believe in Chinese. It's 3 finger widths down and 2 in, 2 down and 2 in, roughly. This is the center here, right? And so we're breathing in, into our belly, and then when that is fully expanded up into the chest, and then out. So a few more times here, in. And out. And in. And that's the state we're aiming for. Clarity and calm. And I believe, Jen, it's time to hand it back. Okay.
All right, thanks Jeremiah, and thanks everybody, that was great. Yeah, that's a really, really important, useful skill, right, to be able to breathe, and you should be practicing everything that we're doing. The more you can practice it, the better off you're gonna be, and the more effectively you're gonna use it if you are in a situation where you actually need to use it. Okay, so we have kind of a saying here that is clarity is kindness. It has to do with boundary setting, right? And so being clear about what your boundary is and communicating that clearly. That's kind to you and it's kind to the other person, right? You're not giving them, they're not confused about what they should be doing or what you expect from them. You're very clear. And if they cross that boundary, you know, then there's other issues, right? But the clearer we can communicate, the better off we're going to be. Clarity is kindness. So And likewise, no is a complete sentence, right? So if somebody's doing something and we want them to stop, we can just say no. One thing I kind of think about if we're talking about, like, let's talk about physical boundaries, right? So our body has this physical space that we sort of, unless you're somebody who's very well known to us, we don't really like people coming into this space, right? We kind of have our personal bubble. So if Rich is going to come out here, and Rich also kind of has a personal bubble, and we may have this is a comfortable space where we can have a conversation and we feel both safe and comfortable, right? If we start getting a lot closer, especially if we don't know each other, right? It's kind of an instinct, like, okay, you're getting a little closer, getting in my space. So we're going to practice an exercise where I'm setting a clear boundary. For whatever reason, I don't like the way Rich looks, and I'm not feeling comfortable with his approach to me, right? So he's going to be walking towards me, and I'm going to set my boundary. No, right? So the important thing about this is it's short, sweet, to the point. Clear communication. Clarity is kindness, right? So he knows exactly what I want him to do. He knows that I could use a different word, right? I could use stop. I could use leave me alone, whatever, right? So shorter, sweeter is better, simpler, right? So you don't necessarily need to be real aggressive, right? You're not trying to instigate his fight or flight or stress response, but you're just trying to be clear. Okay, so another thing we can do is a yell, right? Just a kind of more of a generic yell. And I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a scream and a yell, right? A scream, scary, screechy kind of, that's, some people honestly get off on that. That is not what we're going for. Short, sharp vowel sound, right? So I like, hey, right? So we all want to do that. You can do it off camera. 1, 2, 3. Hey! Did you hear that? Huh? They sounded good, right? We've been practicing. So go ahead and practice that at home. You could be washing the dishes, right? Just practice that yell, because it's kind of counterintuitive. Like we're told, be quiet, don't yell, and it's counterintuitive, but it is a really... Just mom washing the dishes. Right, exactly. I'm just, in your daily life, right? Practice these things. The other thing I want to talk about is the idea of asking for help, because what's really great about a key hop, really any of these words, but a key hop in particular, the is it's going to alert other people around you, right? You're communicating with this bad guy or potential bad guy, we don't know, but you're communicating with this person, but you're also communicating with people around you, right? So that lets them know something's happening. Hey, let me pay attention. Let me see what's going on, right? So that's really powerful too. So let's talk about how to identify, how to ask for help, right? Because this is a hard thing for a lot of us. We have a really easy way to think about it. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to pick one person. Now Rich is suddenly a good guy. Magic. So 1, I'm going to identify one person. I'm going to make eye contact, 2 eyes, 1, 2, and then 3 is 3 words or less. Give him an instruction. Get help. Call 911. I recognize 911 isn't safe for everybody. So obviously, if it's safe, get help, call 911, start filming, whatever. Give him a clear instruction, what he can do to help you in this situation, okay? So I think that is it for me. I'm gonna turn it over to Jessica and Freya. Thank you very much.
So I'm going to be talking a little bit about using your whole body to get your to give yourself personal space and to give yourself power in your techniques when you're trying to defend yourself. So we start with circular motion, which is what we call it she was talking about your personal space, which is kind of like your arm length away. You kind of want people to stay a little bit, not much closer than that. And so a good way to make sure you get that. If you do this, then you've got your personal space boundary, you're defining that boundary, and you're also practicing your moving from your center. So we want to move from our center with all of our techniques, because that's where the power is from. The power doesn't come from your arm. When you're punching, it comes from the ground, and your whole body is using your whole body to do the motion. So we practice a circular motion. And then we can practice it with, if we want to practice using that to get a technique going, we can do it into a technique. It gets your whole body. Can you show with me here? Using your whole body to do a technique forward. So if Freya grabs the pad over here. So I'm going to show a few techniques that we can use the circular motion that are good striking techniques for self-defense. So one of them is, it's called a knife hand, where you're using the edge of your hand as the weapon, and I'm not just hitting them with using my arm or my hand. That's going to maybe irritate them, but it won't really defend yourself with it. So you want to use your whole body. So I'm going to, as if I'm doing the circular motion, use the circular motion. And I mean, obviously that's exaggerated. You're not going to be doing that in a real situation, but you're going to be using your whole body just the same way. So Freya tries it. Try it, the whole body motion. Yeah. Yeah, it's a nice, powerful technique. And then another technique we have is called a palm heel, which uses this part of your palm, this lower part here. It's called the palm heel, and she holds it out like this. Again, you're going to use that same motion with your body to get the technique to have as much power behind it as you can. So you can try it here too. Yeah, that's good. Just exaggerate it. Good. And then do one that's just not exaggerated, but use your whole body. Yeah, good. And I think that was, yeah, why don't we get everybody else to come up and do some of the techniques? All right, so let's start with the circular motion. So this is a way to tell you if you have enough space around you and get your body moving from its core. Get circular motion going. You're twisting your whole core. And then if we do that into like palm heel, both sides, to make sure we have a nice even workout. Good. And then try it, the same thing into a knife hand strike. Yeah. So it should be that same motion, even if it's with just, you don't need to do this exaggerated circular motion, but it's the same motion, the same full body motion to get the strike going. And again, as Jen was saying with yelling, the key hop, we want to do that to help to get them scared away and to make the technique powerful. Hey! So let's do that a few times with everybody doing a key hop. Hey! 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 Good. Hey! Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so in this next section, we're going to talk a bit about the self-defense flashpoint. This is kind of when things have typically gone wrong and you need to be applying physical techniques. If you're a little more interested in some of these kind of different situations and things like that and kind of what the process is for it, our women's self-defense videos will talk about that, as well as our bystander training ones, our previous PAC sessions. So if you want to kind of see like what happens prior to this flashpoint, check out those videos because they'll kind of fill you in a little bit more. For this first one, if I could have Jeremiah come out here, we're going to talk a little bit about a situation, and then we'll kind of move on to some other people's situations. Our first one will be an attack from behind. So I'm going to be the aggressor, Jeremiah is going to be the defense, and we're going to show some different layers of escalation. So we're going to start with kind of the most basic. He doesn't have to necessarily do a whole lot to me to get me to stop, and then we'll kind of build it up from there. All right? Ready?
Hey!
Good, and you notice we're just going to be applying that side-to-side motion that we just practiced, but kind of in these different levels. So that's the first one. Our second one.
Hey!
Good, now you notice he adds that strike and yell into that next piece. But let's say he can't quite get that strike in, so now we add Next layer.
Hey!
Good. Notice he gets that arm trapped this time. That gives him another layer of control. And then our last one that we're going to do for this session is where we turn this into a throw. Okay? So if he's back on that spot, I'm going to preemptively take this off just in case it's extra loud for our viewers at home.
Hey!
Thank you very much, Jeremiah. So as we start to move on to our next one, right, one of the things that we kept kind of as a good consistency for this is that we really focused on making sure that we showed the same exact technique, just applied on those different levels, right? All Jeremiah did was variants of just doing that same side-to-side motion from that grab from behind. I believe our next people are going to be Bill and Susan. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, we're going to show using the same side-to-side motion that Jessica was talking about in a couple of other situations. And Bill's going to be my attacker. And if he comes up, I can just turn, 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 turn. And that's all I'm doing, is doing side-side motion. If he comes up and grabs me, either by the throat or the shoulder, I'm going to use this same motion, but I'm going to go over and under, slide down his arm, and I can take control of him. If he tries to come at me, it hurts him, but not me. If he tries to get away, it hurts him, but not me. If Matthew did the same attack and it escalated a little bit further, I could do the same over, under, like this, and extend, and get rid of Matthew. Thank you.
That side to side is really prevalent in a whole lot of different situations. Now we're going to show one kind of last one, I believe. Two more, sorry. Apologies, two more. We have Laura up next. So, again, we're going to be applying similar motions, right? We're trying to do that side to side to gain control of this. If you stand on that little spot right there, I'll be the attacker, so I'll be giving a little talk, then I'll put it to the side so it doesn't just get particularly loud. So for this, I'm going to attack Laura from behind here. I'm going to get one hand. We're going to do the same side to the same shoulder. As she turns, she's going to get control. I know she's got my arm in control, a spot that keeps my balance. This keeps me from being able to hit her. So now she can turn it wherever she wants. If she wants to just walk me out, she can walk me out from here. We do the same situation. She can turn that exact same technique. And now she can throw me towards the ground and get control. If I do the other side, now I'm cross-handed. If she turns the same way, it'll look a little different. But now she's got my, again, balance really well controlled. So I'm now kind of stuck to her this way. If I try to attack from here, I have no leverage. It doesn't really hit very hard anymore, right? She'll be okay. If we do that one more time, and we take that into a bigger throw at the end, she does the same motion, holds across here, then she's going to turn all the way to face me and let me drop back behind. And that's where you get that nice big fall from. Thank you very much, Laura. Then for our last one, I believe we're showing one with multiple people as the attacker. So Jason's going to be demonstrating this next series of techniques.
Thank you, Matthew. So a couple things to remember here. As we mentioned before, no matter what you wear or say or who you are, it doesn't give someone else the right to attack you. In our demonstration, we're going to show what if two people are attacking you. One person is moving in from the front, one from behind. And in this one, we want that same sidewise circular motion as well as being aware of the whole room. A good yell to bring everybody's attention there is also great. Let me set this right over here. Okay, let's get it. Okay, I think we have a better chance against me. Yeah, I'm sure it will work with Rich. Thank you, you guys.
All right. So kind of, you'll notice one of the main connector pieces between all of these flashpoints is, flashpoint is that part where things have gone wrong, right? It's not the point of where we're going to have that sit-down conversation with the other person. We are trying to get out of the most immediate danger we can possibly get out of, right? This is, things have gone really wrong. But every single time, you'll notice there was kind of a few key things we really looked for. First being, the response should be relative to what's happening, right? Flashpoint is when things tend to be kind of more serious, so we have more control necessary for our techniques. I want to make sure I'm in as much control as I can be in these situations. Our second main thing is that every single one of these didn't just stop here, they moved from one point to a point of relative safety. I mean, you can never be perfectly safe right out of just a big self-defense situation like that, but we did try to move into the next thing. Third one is, we'll get to, and not this next section, but the one after that, which we call the recovery time. Like, this is how you address what just happened, right? When you do techniques to people, you want to be hopefully as nice as you can, because you have to kind of live with what you're doing. And so most people don't like to hurt other people. It doesn't feel good. So we want to, as much as possible, not have as much mental baggage with it as much as we can avoid. Not that it's your fault if it happens, but it's just not a great feeling most of the time. So one of the things I tend to find for most people for flashpoints is falling, right? When you fall to the ground, people tend to get hurt. It doesn't always happen, but we have a lot of tools to kind of mitigate that. So we're going to be going over what's called rollbacks. If you've seen our flashpoints, you'll see some kind of similar things, but we're going to include some different kinds of tools for that. When you watch me do this, you'll notice in my space, I have a lot of room. I'm not going to slam my head into anything. I'm on mats. You're not always going to be gifted with a beautiful space like this, but if you do have a school that you can go to practice, most martial arts schools that do any kind of throws or anything like that have a whole series or a regiment that they do to fall safely. I'm going to show you just rollbacks, which try to keep you in the same spot. So like you watched when I took some of those big falls earlier, right, I was falling. Some of them were to get away from the other person, which is great and useful. And then some of them were to keep me in the same spot because I might not have had a room. You just kind of have to use whatever tools make sense for what you're currently experiencing. So from here, I'm going to angle kind of at a diagonal so you can see the front and the back. Okay. From here, the first one I'm going to do is called seated rollbacks. So I'm going to start sitting all the way down like this. I have one knee up, one underneath, and from here, I'm going to keep the one that's up this way, and we're going to roll back onto our back. We're going to change to the other side and come up. So from here, we're going to pull in some other people as well that would like to demonstrate some of these at the same time. So anyone of that group who would like to show off any rollbacks, why don't you please come out here. Okay, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Stellaris. So from here, we're going to, you guys can stay facing straight forward. This way they can get both profiles of the shot. So I'm going to roll back, change, and up. We're going to do a few on each side. So ready? Roll back, change, up, roll back, change, and up. Good. Our next one we're going to do is called side slap. So for side slap, as the name suggests, you're going to be fully on your side with one leg straight, and then that way your other hand points straight up. Yeah. From here, I'm going to kick my foot out, drop onto my side, and slap. So this is really important if you're taking really big falls. We'll showcase one at the end here, so that way you can see kind of what it looks like in practice. But we're going to start from slapping on one side, change, slap on the other side. We're trying to make a really big surface area, and for all of these, we avoid keeping our head hitting by tucking in our chin, so we're ready to slap. We're going to do two more, slap, and side slap. Good. Now from here, we're going to tuck our right leg in, and we're going to go to our next rollback, which is kneeling. So we're going to roll all the way up, and using your legs ideally to pull yourself up or your core. So we'll roll back, down, change, come up, here. Another alternative as we do this, as we roll back, we come here. If I have unhealthy knees, I can always use my hands to support and lift so I can tuck my leg in. If that's more comfortable for you, that can really help, particularly if you have bad hips or knees. We'll do that again. Tuck, set yourself down, roll, come up, and up to here. Okay, our next one we're gonna do is side slap to standing. So you're gonna do a side slap. Pull your body upright, so your knee and your elbow are ideally touching like this. Then I'm gonna take that upper side, bring it up and around. So it comes up, over, until I can get into this lunge position. Then turn up to face. Do the same thing. I bring my back foot up, tuck underneath, slap, up to here. Take this one, bring it up and over, turn, and face the front. And do 2 more. Roll back, slap, come up, bring it up and over, turn, and to the front. And one last one. Roll back, slap, up, bring it over, and turn to standing. Now our last type of rollback that we're gonna do is sitting, kneeling, standing. So just from before, where we did that kneeling down and rolling, we're gonna pop all the way up to standing instead of just kneeling down. So roll back, change, pull yourself up. If you wanna use your hand to help you, you can. If you don't, you're more than welcome to do it without any hands. If you'd like to roll back and use both hands, you can. You can do the same thing one last time from here. Good. So thank you two very much. The last one I want to show is kind of a roll to a slap out, so you can see kind of what a larger spaced version is. And then I'm going to have Jason come out to do a big throw to me, so you can see what a side slap might look like in application. So if I'm doing a nice big roll where I clear a lot of distance, notice it's really smooth. It doesn't hit like a large rock. It's not very square shaped. So we'll show it one more time from here. I really round out that shape. You do not have to do this from standing, but this is kind of an elevated version. It's really smooth and see, carries a lot of weight forward, which is great if you have a lot of space to go forward. But if Jason's over here, and he's gonna do a hip throw to me, that looks really interesting, really big. The sound is what makes it not hurt so much, right? I'm dispersing that force across a whole big part of my body, and I'm letting that slap take that energy that would have been energy that just hits and lingers in you, and letting it turn into sound, right? Energy is energy, so if you can get it to be not in you, makes it a lot more comfortable. So we're gonna go into our next section, talking about, I believe, recovery is the next part. So I'll give the mic to Susan. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about recovery, or it's also recovery or preparation for when you face a threatening situation. Several people talked today about a code word that elicits readiness or relaxation. So it can be used for readiness in a tense situation and also relaxation after a tense situation. In martial arts, when we enter the studio or enter any place where we're going to practice, we always bow as we come in. But that's not something you want to do before facing a tense situation, or even when you're already tense. But I use, since that's always been how I get ready to focus on something, I use just a little nod. And that's my kind of code word that lets me be ready to relax before or after any situation. It doesn't have to be a confrontational situation. It can be before I sit in a dentist chair and I'm facing drilling. just that little nod for me. Bill, do you have something that you use?
Well, when I get in a stressful situation, often my word is spaghetti. One, it's very hard to be angry when you're saying spaghetti. Also, I want to be relaxed, so I breathe, and I want to be able to flow, and I relax so that I can move quickly if necessary.
Okay, I think to recover for all of us and wind down after this, we'd like to do some Tanjan breathing together, taking into account what everyone has said about that as relaxation. So if everyone would join me, we're going to do a series of 5 Tanjan breathings, breathing in, which just means breathing into our center, and they're called circulating the chi. And as Jeremiah said, we're going to put our feet about shoulder width apart and relax the knees, neither really bent nor locked, and feeling as if your head is suspended by the ceiling, from the ceiling by a string. And the first one is called rise and fall. And you're going to let your hands rise as you breathe in and then out and in and out. With each breath, try to, as you breathe in, feel your body be energized. And as you breathe out, kind of survey your body and feel any points of tension and let them relax as your hands float down. And one more time. The next one is going to be pushing forward. So you're breathing in and out. In and out. Let all the tension out. Circle your energy in and relax. One more time. Now, there's a couple of different schools of thought or practices when you're doing these breathing about whether you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. So when I'm trying to gather up energy, maybe before something that is stressful is coming or during that, my breathing, I tend to breathe in through my nose and out through my mouth. When I'm trying to relax and center myself, if you put your tongue right on that little piece of skin on the back of your 2 front teeth, you create kind of a circular connection, and you breathe in and out through your nose in a circular manner. So you can try either one, try different ones for different times, or some people prefer one or the other. So the next one we're going to do is breathing out to the side, so be sure you have room on either side of you. Breathe in and out. Let your shoulders relax. Breathe in and out. You want to keep your eyes kind of on the horizon for these. Breathing in. Relax your shoulders. Breathe in again. And out. This one is upward, and it's the one that you don't keep your eyes on the horizon. You follow your hands upward. So breathing in, reach for the sky. As you breathe out, breathe back in and out. Relax, and again, breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Once again. The last one is the gathering exercise that Jeremiah showed us earlier. So this is just going to be one long breath in and one long breath out. You always want to breathe out a little bit longer than you breathe in. So gathering, breathing in, and continuing your breath in. And as you breathe out, scan your body for any points of tension and let go of them. This last time, let's think of extending as far out in every direction as you can. Make a big circle. And relax. Thank you. Everyone can just stay here as we close up. In summary, we want to work on creating supportive communities and surviving threatening communities. We want to always be aware of our surroundings and help de-escalate potentially volatile situations. And one of the easiest ways to do this is remembering always that clarity is kindness. People may not even realize they're making you uncomfortable, or by making a loud sound, as Jessica was talking about, you can alert people around you in your community that something may be going wrong, or you can maybe embarrass someone that they don't want to do something as publicly as you're making it seem. Now is the time to look for or create communities that support ourselves and others. Some of the places you can go to do this are our PAX community that we have here, or Enso Center, where you can come and train in different martial arts or Tai Chi or yoga, different ways to relax and become more comfortable with your body in a safe and supportive atmosphere. You can also contact glad.org, the Trevor Project, queerresource.com, everywhereisqueer.com. These resources will appear on the screen at the end of this class. Also, look forward to our next class, which will be next week, March 15th at noon. We'll be discussing situational awareness, de-escalation, and physical protection techniques in different scenarios. Please follow and like us on social media, and thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.